We are meeting this weekend. It's an important time for the Labour Party. As we prepare for Ireland to exit the EU-IMF bailout programme, it is important that we look back at what we have already achieved, but more important, that we also look ahead at our purpose and our priorities for the second half of this Dáil and beyond. For us, politics is about values. It's about knowing what we stand for, what we are trying to achieve, and it's about having a vision by which to steer. Those of us here know the values that lie at the heart of our party. The deep commitment that we have to freedom, to solidarity, to community, to the dignity of work, and to the right to work. As a party, our mission is to build a better Ireland for all, and especially for those who do not enjoy the privilege of position, birth, or wealth. For people who want to work hard, contribute to society, and build a better future for their children. Politics is about values, but it is also about spirit and mindset. We are, and we must be, a progressive party. We are not, we cannot be, a party of the status quo or of small c conservatism. We are at our best when we are leading reform. When we are at our best, we are working for change. And we are at our best when we confront reality head-on and when we take on causes that others say cannot be won. What marks us out from many of our opponents and critics is our instincts to roll up our sleeves and to work at fixing the problem. No slogan, however clever, has ever solved a problem, fed a hungry child, or created a single job. Labour's way is to confront reality as we find it and to deal with the realities that are in front of us, to fix problems, not to pretend that they don't exist. And what a mess we were confronted with when we came into government just over 2 years ago. What Fianna Fáil left behind after 14 years of crony politics was an economy in the throes of a financial heart attack, as the arteries of the financial system seized up. When we came into government, I remember very clearly being told that the country had 5 months' money left. We formed the government in March, and that meant that we could have kept the schools open until the holidays began, but come September, there would have been no money to pay for them. We had not enough money to pay for school. We had enough money to pay for schools, for hospitals, for pensions and wages for just 5 months, unless we accepted Troika loans at unaffordable interest rates. When we came into government, the state was taking in just €3 for every 4 it was spending. That gap existed even if the government hadn't put a penny into the banks. By the time we got into office, the banking system was seizing up, small businesses couldn't get credit, and 250,000 jobs had been lost in the previous 3 years alone. Our country was in the deepest crisis in our history, and all our futures were at stake. So our first priority had to be the country, to bring stability, to slow the job losses, to repair the financial system so that the economy could function, and to renegotiate the disgraceful Fianna Fáil Troika deal. It wasn't easy. Those were dark days. There were difficult and sometimes gut-wrenching decisions. And then there was Fianna Fáil and Sinn Féin shouting that it couldn't be done. But you know, I've lost count of the number of times that this party has been told down the years that something couldn't be done before we went ahead and did it. That was true when we were fighting to create a modern Ireland, 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s, and it has been true as we fought to rescue the country for the past 2.5 years. First, we were told that we wouldn't get the crippling interest rate on the programme loans reduced, but we did. We were told that we wouldn't be able to re-enter the bond market, but we did. We were told that we wouldn't get a deal on the maturity of our loans, but with hard work and perseverance, we did that too. And we were told that we wouldn't get a deal on the Anglo promissory note. And we did. We have done all of those things and more. We have brought an end to Anglo-Irish Bank. We have ended the bank guarantee. And we are now on course to exit the programme on schedule at the end of this year. At the last election, we committed ourselves to a programme of jobs, reform and fairness. And that is why we have put job creation at the heart of government policy. And that is why, even as we made difficult decisions, we worked hard to remove the burden of taxation on low earners by lifting 330,000 out of the USC net, to provide a better standard of living by restoring the minimum wage, by restoring the JLC system after the High Court had struck it down, by helping those in tough times by protecting key social security rates, and by rolling out a new child poverty strategy. Twice in a generation, Fianna Fáil have brought this country to its knees with their unique blend of Galway tent politics and Neverland economics. And Labour is determined that it must never happen again. Never again should government be closed to the public while a golden circle of high rollers are allowed to create an economy that worked for them and not for hard-working people of our country. And that is why Brendan Howlin has worked so hard to drive reform. That is why we have worked to make government more transparent by introducing whistleblowers legislation, by bringing forward Oireachtas inquiries legislation and reforming freedom of information legislation and giving it more bite. That is why we have taken strides to changing the way politics is conducted in Ireland. For too long, our politics has looked like a gentleman's club, and we're changing that by bringing in gender quotas for state funding. For too long, local politics has been denigrated and run down, and we're changing that by reforming the system and making it more responsive to public needs. For too long, people have looked at Leinster House and asked why it doesn't work. And we're changing that too by reforming the Dáil and asking the people to abolish the Seanad. And we haven't stopped there. We have established a constitutional convention to see what we need to do what we need to keep from the past and what we need to face into tomorrow. And that is a commitment that I made in a party conference speech in 2010, a commitment which is made real today. But let me be clear with you. Did we manage to achieve everything we wanted? Did we get everything we wanted? The answer to that is no. And it is no for a very simple reason. This is a coalition government. This government is run not on the Fine Gael manifesto or the Labour manifesto, but on the basis of the programme for government which was negotiated after the election and endorsed by the Labour Party conference. Neither party has had everything its own way. And if you doubt that, ask yourself what single-party government would have been like over the past 2 years. And look at the achievements that have only been possible because Labour has played its part in government, such as restoring the minimum wage or indeed stopping the fire sale of state assets that Fianna Fáil had signed on for. Because this party had the courage to put the country first. Because this party put jobs at the heart of the government's agenda, and because this party worked every day for the values that we hold dear, this country is on the road to recovery, stability is returning, and we are starting to create jobs again. That is Labour's way. Putting the country and its people first. Knowing what we want to achieve and having the patience and the courage to keep after it come what may. I am proud of that. I am proud of this party and proud of what we have achieved together. Proud, but not satisfied. The patient is healing, but there is still a long way to go. We all know the problems, and the headwinds we face are still strong. The Eurozone is still marked by low growth that hampers our ability to do everything we would desire on job creation and fairness. We cannot put the recovery at risk by going backwards. But as a result of what we have achieved, we can now think of what it means to put an end to austerity, which has always been our goal. The past 5 years have been difficult for families in Ireland, difficult for a whole generation in negative equity, stuck paying boom-time mortgages with recession incomes. People have put up with a lot. They have shouldered a lot. And it allowed our country to pull back from catastrophe. But when it comes to looking at future budgets, we need to look at how we can now give the people some breathing room. A break from the relentless grind of paying off bills every month only to have little or nothing left over. There is no silver bullet to end hardship, but I believe that we must do what we can to make it easier. 2.5 years ago, we set a target. 2.5 years ago, we set a target of bringing stability to the country and exiting the programme. Now we have to move on to the next targets. Now we have to set new and demanding goals for what we want to achieve together in the period ahead. As we exit the programme, we have to set objectives for what it is we want to achieve next. They should be demanding targets, targets that we have to stretch ourselves to achieve, and we should plan for how we achieve them. The first of those targets is full employment. Labour's goal is that, by the end of this decade, that we can offer all of our people work and opportunity in Ireland. And that goes too for the many who've had to leave this island over the course of the past 5 years to secure employment. What is the point of an economic policy unless it has jobs at the heart of it? Full employment is at the very heart of Labour's vision for society. We believe, as we have for a century, in the dignity of work and the opportunity that it provides. We must never accept the terrible waste of human potential, the dreadful cost of welfare dependency that comes with mass unemployment. Full employment is now and must always be at the core of the social democratic project. Work for those who can is the basis of opportunity, the primary route out of poverty, and the means to building a better future for all of us. In economic terms, achieving fiscal stability has meant meeting the 3% deficit target by 2015. To achieve full employment, the target is to get unemployment down to 5% by 2020. To achieve that, we have to create more and better jobs. We have to build on the stability we have created. We must promote investment through the Strategic Investment Fund to support the jobs we have and to create the industries of tomorrow. And we have to train people to fill those jobs. If we want to lift people out of unemployment, then we have to lift up their skills and their qualifications. In a world where even China worries about wage competition now from Myanmar and Vietnam, there is simply no future in Ireland competing as a low-wage economy. A race to the bottom is a race that we should not take part in. We can only make progress on the basis that there is a threshold of decency, that the economy functions well because it is founded on a platform of solidarity and social investment, that there is work for those who can, and that we protect those who cannot. And just as we will build full employment on the platform of stability, then around it we must construct the framework of a new social contract. When I first entered the workforce, a young person who then got a job expected that that job was for life and was the start of a lifelong career. With a job came the prospect perhaps of promotion, the chance to get a mortgage, buy a home, and indeed of a decent pension at the end of it. We had a system of social insurance that covered against many of the risks that people faced, but which was based on the idea that many people, when they get a job, had a job for life. Today, that world has changed, and we have to change with it. We do have to have a flexible and adaptable workforce, but in return, people are entitled to both security and opportunity. We live in a global economic system where inequality is rising. We have now to construct new ways to build our vision of a society where social solidarity and prosperity go hand in hand. The task of this party is not to look back. The task of this party is not to protect, defend, or recreate some idealised welfare state of the second half of the last century. The task of this party is to build a new social contract for this new century, a social contract that is compatible with high living standards and a fairer Ireland. And how will we do that? We will do it the way we have always done it. We will get out and we will campaign for it. We have shown that we have the courage to put the country first. We have shown that we have the capacity to deliver reform. We have shown that we can provide not just stable government, but progressive reforming government. What we have to do in the remaining lifetime of this government, and as we face into the election for the next, is to show people that we have not just a vision for the future, but the proven capacity to deliver it. We won't do it overnight, and we certainly won't do it without a fight. We won't do it without people telling us that it can't be done. But as the last 2 years proves, this party, the Labour Party, is at its best when we are doing what others prefer to think cannot be done. Exiting the Troika programme is not the end of our work in government, but the beginning. A new beginning for our country and a new beginning for our party. Our vision for post-crisis Ireland is not that of Fianna Fáil or indeed of Sinn Féin. It is one where securing the future of our country and the sacrifices that have to be made to do it must now mean securing the livelihoods of our fellow men and women. A country where security means that those who can work can find work, but also where it means secure access to healthcare, to education and to opportunity, to a better life. The challenges are still great, but we should be confident of our ability to meet them and to master them because indeed of what we have already achieved together. Thank you very much indeed.